Yeah, possibly. Although, PKR may have been rooting for a terrible seed. I'm not totally sure.
But there we go. But we get us to start with some really, really free bombs. So that's always good to get us to start up. And it looks like both of our runners are going have the same thing in mind to get this thing started out. So it's interesting to see if when the divergence, if it does come, happens. It looks like both of our runners are going straight for our friend, the Kakariko Village Elder, to pick up the item that's hiding in his closet.
Yeah, the first race between them had a pretty decent amount of divergence. It'll be interesting to see if they are on each other's heels the whole time this time.
So my question to you, Mercer, if they stick neck and neck the whole race, who do you think's execution is higher?
Oh, I'd be hard pressed to say for sure on that. It might actually depend on the equipment set. I think PKR's got a lot of practice with really strange equipment sets. Whereas if they get a friendly one, Zelgadis might end up a little on top, but they're both excellent.
Oh no, and that's not to discount just the high level execution both of these runners face the show off here. We get us a really, really free Moon Pearl, and we're gonna head to Kakariko Village, and we're gonna find our way into the Dark World in less than 2 minutes. So a lot of this will be opened up, but already we've got a little bit of diversions. I'm sorry.
Well, they do need either the second mitt or hammer before they get Dark World access. But
just so happen we know where that's at. Interesting little bit of just different routing between the two runners, where PKR starting north and moving south. Zelda decided to dip to the south and then look to be moving north. And there's our first sword and a hook shot right away. Kakariko coming up gangbusters. We've got a hook shot and Dark World access in just under 2 minutes. So it should be a lot of fun to see where do these runners head to next after they finish their checks in the village. A lot of the world just opened to us. Let me see if we stick on the same. We don't just almost missed that chicken toss on PKR's side.
yeah, going for the swag chicken clip.
Even going as fast as humanly possible, PKR finds some time to give us a little bit of fun. It looks like PKR is going to use their equipment, drop into the well. First, pick up the item that we know is hiding out in here. And there's our first piece of heart picked up on PKR's side, as well as I think will probably be our only mail of this game.
Yeah, but it's about 50 minutes earlier than the mail on the previous game, which was on the pre-Moldorm chest.
Ouch. All right, and the similar routing continues as we're both into the Dark World via the north of Kakariko portal. But here's our divergent. PKR's going south, zelgadissan's going north.
Yeah, very momentary divergence.
PKR heading into the chess game while zelgadissan heading over to Skull Woods. PKR heading here just to grab 100 rupees. Well, zelgadissan has activated fast mode. They've got boots. No fire out yet, so we'll have to dip out of here, but we will. I definitely agree with the get a hold of your boots as soon as you can play, but I think PKR's routing is equally as good as they've picked up the magic cape. Which is a really good safety item.
Yep, and we're going to see them basically trading off here.
As you will see. It's just see which ace comes up a little bit quicker. As PKR is now in and done. So they finished with this area of the world, while zelgadissan is still carving their way through. So zelgadissan is heading south out of Kakariko Village, which is the village of outcasts, and heading over towards our pal Stumpy. I'm just gonna go ahead and zip on by. While PKR heads into the Bonk Rocks. So chat's asking, what does this mean by spoiler log tournament? Before this race started, they were given 15 minutes with the spoiler log for this seed. So they had to determine what was the fastest way to get through this. And the commentators were also given that. So PKR picked up the hammer from Bonk Rocks. Meanwhile, zelgadissan is heading into Hype Cave. Only a certain amount of hypers. We get the Hera container, some bombs, and the Bombos medallion. I wonder what we're gonna need that for.
Well, as our lovely tracker has already placed markers down on our crystals and pendants, we can see that we need it for Turtle Rock.
All right, so that's good in there. Well, PKR is fumbling their way through the dark. Taking that old man up to Death Mountain, while zelgadissan is going to go ahead and pick up their hammer. And with that, PKR is going to take a save and quit after visiting the mountain and is back towards Link House. I believe they're going to Hype Cave to pick up their Bombos medal. Now, zelgadissan also disregarding Darkroom logic is going to go ahead and get that old man up the mountain.
Yeah, generally one of the first couple dark rooms you'll learn. These runners obviously can do all of them, but this one's one that I recommend new runners, start with, this in Eastern.
Yeah, this is a fairly simple dark room. Not a lot of enemies to throw you for a loop. Actually, if you're running it right, those bats will never come in contact with you. As PKR also picked up the mushroom, which was not necessary. Meanwhile, PKR is now going to head up north from Hype Cave. It looks like they're heading towards the Palace of Darkness area, while zelgadissan is onto the eastern side of Death Mountain in the Light World. Looks like a trip to Paradox Cave is in our future.
Yeah, our runner's basically at item parity heading into this. It's just a matter of being in different parts of the world.
Both runners will have to make these dips the other is making. It's just a matter of what order comes up faster. zelgadissan's got the flute, so he can fly across the world.
Well, with one pit stop required first. But soon.
Indeed. And there's the Master Sword on zelgadissan's side as well. A little bit extra money and a heart container. Also, the Cane of Samaria, the Paradox Cave, coming up fairly stacked. Alright, so zelgadissan making good use of the bomb jumps here. All the tricks of the trade will come in handy in these spoiler log races where time is definitely the least resource that you have. Because you know that your opponent knows exactly where everything is and can even be watching your stream if they so chose.
Yeah, and Zelga did show up in chat some during race 1. Don't know if he's hanging out for this second one or not, but I would assume so.
Alright, meanwhile, PKR dropping into the Stelphos arena and grabbing their second sword of the race. So that's 3 of our swords we've seen so far. Well, zelgadissan is spending a lot of time wandering through Spiral Caves, so there's gotta be something good hiding out in here.
I think this may be the single room in the game where boots save you the most time.
And there we have the Fire Rod on the mountain. The mountain, Light World Death Mountain, coming up pretty big on the item count. That's the flute, the cane of Samaria, and the fire rod. All items you're going to need to clear this seed. So with that, Zelgadissan is out of the sanctuary and making their way towards the village. Meanwhile, PKR heading down into the dark basement of Pod. At this point, the lamp is accessible to the runners, but they are choosing to disregard it. As you do. And it's a long dip for a single key, but you're just trying to, with this being a pendant, you're trying to pick up as few keys as possible. And there's our bolt coin, which will open up Misery Mire, as you can see on the tracker. As the swag duck has been summoned on Zelgadissan's side, they're able to move around them a little bit faster. But they're going to dash up to the Dark World first, while PKR's up to the mountain to pick up their bevy of items.
Yeah, a terribly rude location for a pendant or a medallion to be that you need.
Thankfully, the key showed up in a relatively kind location where you could zip basically straight to it. Meanwhile, Zelgadissan, armed with their fire rod, they're just going to go ahead and knock out the first crystal of the game, it would appear. We're going to take down a moth. So thinking how he's equipped now, he's got the fire rod in hand as well as just Master Sword, so not the strongest equipment coming in.
Yeah, he had a gorgeous Master Sword Mothula in Game 1. We'll see if he repeats it. PKR will have Tempered for that, though, as she picks that up.
I think this will end up being a showcase of how much time saved the sword itself is. At the time, the boost between Master and Tempered Sword. It is the largest damage increase in the game, except for between regular and silver arrows. So Zelga, at least for now, is committed to Master Sword, while PKR is already sitting on Tempered. We'll see how long it takes Zelga to pick up their third sword.
Yeah, PKR also gets that bomb jump on the first try. Zelda took 2. That's probably 10 or 15 seconds.
In a race format like this, every little any glitch in execution could end up being the difference. So with that, Fire Rod Shot's expended. Zelgadissan is switching to Hammer for the moth. He just about perfectly rides that spike without getting hit. I don't know how. But down goes the moth. A fairly clean fight, and I mean, it took a little more damage than you would like. There's the big key, which I don't think we're going to be cashing in, but more importantly, 13 minutes in, we're at crystal number 1.
Yeah, those were nice hammers, and we can see a little hint up there of the bow.
Yeah, check that out. That's a bow on the floating island, folks, and so we're gonna have to find a magic mirror before we get there. I wonder how painfully deeply buried that is. And with that, PKR is opening the door to Turtle Rock. Without the ice rod in hand, I wonder if perhaps it could be in its vanilla location?
The vanilla location of Ice Rod Cave?
Yes. No. the location it has to be because it's Randomizer. Because it has to do whatever it wants to do to troll you as hard as it can. And I'd say that bow is probably... The way to get access to that bow is probably the most rude thing of this seed. If I had to, just looking at what we know at this point. You know, a nice setup of the spin speed on Zelgadissan's side to get themselves up there, using that puzzle a little bit faster. PKR getting a nice switch and saving saving every little bit of time they can as they finish off that torch puzzle. nice a piece of the iframes, and there's a magic mirror. So with that, we now have access to our bow, but it looks like we're going to keep going. Alright, so both of our runners carving through Turtle Rock at the same time. I would hope that you would give these guys a follow if you not already do so. These are probably two of some of the very top runners in this community, especially in the spoiler log races. These two put in probably the most practice that we saw in the early game, and this is just they're putting in a great show for us, and they probably do so on their own stream. So give them a follow and give them a little bit of love for it. But thankfully, that mirror that we fixed. All right, so with that, Zelgadissan has decided that they've had enough of Turtle Rock. They want their bow instead. Interesting decision on Zelgadissan's side. What do you think led to this?
Possibly the lack of that third sword.
That is a good thought. I mean, he did have he does have access to Gold Sword if he so chose. That's an unfortunate misplacement of that bomb. Meanwhile, PKR making their way quickly through this Turtle Rock. With that, Zelgadissan has picked up the bow, and he's off. Then he decided that's enough of the mountain for now. PKR, on the other hand, is just kind of wandering their way through the dark in this puzzle, taking that quick refill, moving on. Alright, Zelgadissan is heading over towards the graveyard, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and drop into the back of the escape sequence. One thing of note that we have not yet picked up any arrows for that bow Zelgadissan has in his hands. And there's the key to get it further into escape and a red potion. Meanwhile, check that out. PKR can now finish the dungeon. That's an ice rod. And well done, Cane of Samaria dash by PKR to make it through that room just a little bit faster. Meanwhile, Zelgadissan fumbling their way through the dark sewers. It looks like they're heading toward the dark crossroom and the prize that it may hold inside. And there's the silver arrows on Zelgadissan's side. So that is a deep dip for those silvers.
We don't have any arrows, but once we have some, they'll be silver.
Alright, so with that, PKR making very, very quick work of the first phase of Trinex, and looks to be putting on an absolute clinic. It's the double spin and the slash. That's the end of Trinex. PKR is done and done. And there's their first crystal, and that comes from Turtle Rock. Thank you for the Arrow of Destiny as the prize. Interesting to note that PKR does have arrows coming out of this. Well, Zelgadissan has not, and is heading into the pendant pod. It looks to be grabbing their bolt coin. Actually, oh, that exploded. Wait, I lost my credit. Yeah, it's the bolt coin. I forgot what I was doing.
It's fine. We've already seen PKR do this pod trip, so we know what Zelga's going to find in here, but this is probably going to be Tempered Sword and definitely going to be their, I believe it was Ether Medallion.
Absolutely. So I guess the question is, where does PKR head to next? Having completed that Turtle Rock, and will now have their bow in hand. Alright, so with that bow in hand, PKR is off the mountain, and they're heading to the mountain. They're heading back to the mountain cave, which I think was a mistake. Alright, there's zelgadissan's tempered sword. He's gonna mirror up, and then gonna head back to his bolt coin. PKR looks to be going to serenade their swag duck.
Makes sense. Wouldn't surprise me if we see the same Skullwoods play out of PKR now.
We will get a demonstration of the difference that tempered sword will make against that moth fight. And that Helmasaur unfortunately bullies zelgadissan, so he's going to have to reset this room to continue. I have to say that Helmasaur is probably my least favorite enemy in the game because of that bridge. zelgadissan also is going to go ahead and dip into the dark room to pick up their key. Taking note of who's ahead, as both runners are currently doing what another runner already did, it's really hard to call what is ahead. I guess I give a slight edge to PKR.
Yeah, I feel like not having to double dip TR is going to pay off long run.
I would definitely agree there. Perhaps I can see where zelgadissan's logic lies, where he then can go back into Turtle Rock and just from there head to GT. While PKR will have to climb the mountain again, but they can just set up a mirror portal outside of the Tower of Hera.
Yeah, I most certainly don't think it's a decisive advantage yet or anything. We got a lot of race left.
And just a rundown of what's at stake here, folks. We are in the quarterfinals of the Spoiler Log tournament. zelgadissan is up 1-0 over PKR of this best of 3 series. The winner of this series will go ahead and face Weighty Words in the first semifinal. While on the other side of the semifinal, we will have Kyong92 and ACMLM. So the rest of this Spoiler Log tournament is going to be hot in execution. I'm very excited to be able to help bring this to all of you out there.
And PKR is dropping into the Mothula fight now. Not very much magic, but it should just be a tempered sword setup.
And goes ahead and takes an intentional bonk off the spikes to get rid of their sword beams to do less damage. And if you blinked, you missed that moth fight on PKR's side. Meanwhile, zelgadissan is going ahead and farming up some arrows on his way to take care of the Armos Knights here. You may have missed a previous drop, but I guess you haven't realized, the game really wants to hint that you need to use arrows on the boss, especially in this final room before the Armos Knights. I believe almost all of those pots contain arrows.
Yeah, there are 20 arrows in this last room, guaranteed.
Alright, and with PKR is going to make our first visit to the Mire area. Blinking he missed it. That's the end of the Armos Knights fight. I swear there was a boss fight there, though it was really hard to tell. Meanwhile, PKR is into the desert and gonna go ahead and say that's enough of fumbling in the dark for me. And I'll go ahead and take care of Desert Palace while I'm here. So overall, very clean execution on the boss fights on both these runner sides. Looks like zelgadissan is going to go ahead and join us in the desert. And there's our big key, so PKR is like, nope, that's got my key, I'm out. Be curious to see if at some point PKR opts to go find those silver arrows that are in the Dark Cross.
I kind of think the answer is going to be no, because I think she's likely to do Mire now, and you would definitely get them before Vitreous.
I mean, it did give us a very early access to the cape, so we can just dash through the eyeballs. with our tempered sword or take the spin strats. Zelgadissan's got their big key, and they're going to head him back to their land mollis. PKR's got the fire rod in hand, looks to be opting in for that. After they'll probably stick to it after they light these torches. The Armor Knights are an interesting beast. Did you know that the Armor Knights can be killed with the boomerang? It only takes 48 hits per.
I've done that before. I don't want to talk about it.
So PKR does miss a couple of those fire rod shots on that one, so a little bit of time potential for Zelgadissan to gain. PKR pulling out the flute now. Perhaps they're not looking at Meyer quite yet. Nope, it looks like PKR is going to go ahead and opt for a flight out. Ah, I see. They think this is potentially a little bit faster for them than using where their mirror portal was. And of course, setting up that spooky action glitch. Alright, and there's a potential for bird toss, but I don't know if we're going to see that one. But Zelgadissan did make very quick work of the land mollis there. Yes, and there's the end of the bird on PKR side, giving the crowd a little bit of fun. I definitely appreciate it. So PKR is going ahead and bonking over that pit and has their fire rod out for the 1 HP room. Meanwhile, Zelgadissan is use their mirror portal, so that I don't believe that arm's spooky, but I'm not familiar with the all the things of it. There's a potential to give a little bit of extra time given to PKR at making good use of that spooky action. With that, we have a Godmire, which is really, really good for these runners. So with that, PKR is going to make their way back toward Vitreous here. We're looking at probably some cape spins, or dash strats, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I've been told that it's about the same speed, but I don't really know.
Alright, so with that, PKR is into this next of the dark puzzles. And does remember that they did not have to deal with switching that crystal, and we do indeed have spooky actions on PKR's side. So that switch is flipped without even having to go to the next room. It is interesting that the spooky action glitch has been a relatively recent discovery in the grand scheme of things, and this game's 27 years old now, and we're still finding things to this day. Probably the most recent and well-known trip is that Kern jump that'll get you across the dark-rolled river there. Alright, so with that, PKR does take down the eyeball, so just 8 shots with regular arrows for PKR, and that's the end of Vitreous.
Yeah, I learned about that jump in the middle of a race I was commentating. It was deeply cool to see.
So that PKR is down with Vitreous, a little bit ahead of Zelgadissan. Which I think a lot of that time right now is probably given up to that dive for silver arrows at this point. Zelgadissan will have to go back to Turtle Rock at some point in this race and finish it off, as they elected to leave it unfinished. PKR did knock it out. Meanwhile, PKR is going to head into Ice Palace.
Yeah, Zelda is up in Eastern Clear, but that's a much quicker dungeon than Turtle Rock.
It is an extremely quick Turtle Rock. I do believe the very first chest is where the big key was. So there's no messing around with having to, go to the vanilla big key location or having to go over to the map chest. It looks like Zelda has gone to the wrong flute location. A little bit of time given back to PKR. It is extremely tightly contested in this race still. I mean, there's still a lot to be seen, and this could still go either way. But one thing to note is with this being a spoiler tournament and basically both runners already being in go mode at this point, how much just any minor glitch in execution could be the difference between first and second place in this race. And PKR getting an excellent first try setup on that bomb jump. Aside from easy dark rooms, it's probably one of the very first major tricks that you should probably learn if you want to get into racing this game.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of the tricks are randomizer specific, that one is required basically to do NMG as well.
And it goes to show how a good amount of the techniques in the no major glitches speedrun of this game can come in and help you out in a randomized setting where you're also trying to go fast. For those of you asking, if PKR does win this race, the third game has yet to be the third game will be at a date yet to be decided between these two runners. And I personally am hoping to see that game through because this is some excellent action on both sides of your screen right now. That PKR pulls up the Bombos Medallion. Is going to go ahead and open up the case on Cold Stare, hoping to put Cold Stare in the corner. And then opts for some fire rod shots, taking a bonk from one of those ice walls. And down goes the puffs on PKR's side, very well, cleanly executed.
Yeah, using the slightly slower bombos break of the shell so that she'd have those fire rod shots worked pretty well there.
It does take a bit longer for the animation than opposed to firing eight ice rod shots, but it does give you a bit extra damage, I believe. Or at least easy to use damage for the fight itself, which I think would kind of balance out the speed. Zelgadissan going for the faster strats, hoping to push those puff balls in the corner and keep them there. And does so, despite the fact that they took a bonk, so very, very well executed by Zelgadissan. So with that, PKR is headed back toward Eastern Palace.
Yeah, and Zelda is going to be heading up towards Turtle Rock at this point. So they're going to be retracing the dungeons that each had left over.
Looks like all paths are converging onto the Tower of Hera, which looks to be both of these runners' final crystal dungeon. Which feels pretty good in a spoiler log tournament, because then you're just, or in any race, because then you're just a mirror portal transition away from being in Ganon's tower.
Yeah, we'll be able to get a sense of the gap between the racers when they enter Tower of Hera. I'm going to stick with, I think PKR is ahead here by a minute or two. But it may be more than that.
But I think at this point, about a minute of that gap could be given up to what could be just in that investment for the silver arrow pickup in the dark crossroom of the escape, which looks like at this point PKR probably isn't going for.
No, I don't think that she is. Given Tempered Sword, my understanding is that it's about 45 seconds difference if you're good at it. I'm not, so it's about 2 minutes for me, but I don't think that that's enough to make up the gap right now.
And there still is quite a bit of execution between us and the end of this race. PKR will have a slower fight of the Armos Knights here. We'll have to go for the NMG strats. While Zelda was able to just one-shot all of them. And taking a couple bonks there. Losing the handle on these Armos Knights. I'm seeing a little bit of frustration in this move, in this current move. So it's not often you practice losing the handle on a fight like this before. Yeah, so with that PKR is done, not a little bit of time given back to zelgadissan. Probably a good 10-15 seconds. Lost to that Armos Knights just getting away there. Not to discount, because I always found that setup on the Armos Knights was rather difficult, but then again, I'm nowhere near at the capacity that these runners are. That's for certain. Well, PKR is into the dark side of Death Mountain. It has to walk their way up here. I do believe this is a little faster going up the dark side than it is the light. Especially if you can pull off these hookshot clips. Which PKR does without even batting an eye.
Yep, gonna set up a mirror portal for Tower of Hera. Be able to just warp back after clearing that dungeon and go straight into G.
Alright, so PKR is making their way past the Lionels, and they'll be into the Tower of Hera in just a moment. And we do know this will be a fairly quick one. Well, actually not as quick as they would hope, because it looks like with that small key pickup, it looks like we have to go to the basement. Meanwhile, zelgadissan is on Laser Bridge and picks up their Ice Rod. They are down to 3 hearts coming into this Trinex fight. And gets the Cane Dash. Will have does not have a lot of health to be playing with in this Trinex fight, but did decide to grab the red mail out of the hookshot cave, so a little bit of time saved, or a little bit of more health. A great setup on the backside of the Trinex fight, but missing that fire rod shot. Look, they're not quite able to get that 0 cycle, but as close to it as you can. We'll see now that zelgadissan can get that same clean setup on Trinex, and does, sealing that away quite quickly. Meanwhile, PKR is starting to climb up.
I love watching these runners on the boss fights, particularly.
Climbing, being able to gun through some of the more difficult fights really fast is always a pleasure to watch from someone who can't not die to try an X at least once. And there's an accidental bump on the map check. Meanwhile, PKR are going to head and continue their tower climb, manage to sneak past that little bit of fireball. Alright, so Zelgadissan is into the Tower of Hera. Meanwhile, PKR is starting their Moldorm fight, and down it went. So with that, PKR is just a mirror transition away from being inside Ganon's tower. So chat, because this is a spoiler log, we're not going to play the big key guessing game officially, but do you have a guess as to where it might be? What location? Seeing a lot of good guesses out there. I don't know if I've seen it quite yet. Alright, and with that, the crystals have spun, the stairs have descended, PKR is heading over to get this seed ended. And it looks like we have to make a dip over to the left side to start off this Ganon's Tower route. 3 bombs on Bob's torch, so he will live today, if we even get to see him. Sniping a key on PKR's side. You know, Zelgadissan did just pick up their big key from the Tower of Hera, so they gotta start climbing upwards. Alright, PKR dashing through Tire Room. It's not here, obviously. Alright, PKR climbing making their way through the right side of Ganon's tower. A nice little walk down. As remember, this is the quarterfinal of this spoiler tournament. The winner of this will have to face Weighty Words. But this is game 2, and PKR is down by 1 game, so they're hoping that this result holds, and we'll get a 3rd game out of this series. They're 2 of the probably some of the better runners in this category. And with that, PKR has their big key. Go ahead and grab their small key so they can get up to the top, and here we go. It's time for the climb.
An important thing to not forget, that small key.
That's a lot of time wasted if you have to come back up to the top. And disregarding life and limb as they just run across those spikes. Really nice setup to take care of the Garaya in this screen by PKR. Taking care to not take any fireballs. Pick up a couple more arrows as they make the climb. Note that PKR has decided to leave the silver arrows behind in the dark crossroom of the escape sequence. Meanwhile, PKR is making their way past the Igors and back over to the other side of this room. Zelgadissan, the stairs are descending for him. He has to make his way into Ganon's tower and pick up that big key from the right side. Needs to pull the key from the left to get to there. And here we are in Ganon Ball GT and PKR side, and it looks to be that they're heading to the refill room because they're on 6 hearts right now. And does want a little bit more magic. And it gets that bonk across, which I don't think is easy. Alright, here we are into the next of the Gauntlet rooms. PKR taking a hit now. Note, PKR is at a defense and offense disadvantage. They do not have the silver arrows nor the red mail that Zelgadissan elected to pick up.
And they're also a heart shorter of them, so much less safety in that regard.
And at this point, PKR right now, a Ganon hug would kill them right now if they were to just be attacked by Ganon, which won't happen here, but... And with that, Zelgadissan has picked up their big key, and they're going to start their climb. but remembers that they need to pull this small key or they won't be able to finish the climb. While PKR making a real tight one cycle land, 0 cycle land Molus, and they're on to the next room. Grabbing a small magic indicator, and they're heading in first. Time for a little bit of Zelda, a little bit of satisfactory Zelda as we make our way through those quick kill rooms, as I like to call them, with that Kano Samaria. And there's quick kill number 2. Look at all those bombs on the ground that we don't care about. PKR making our way past those fork guards. No cares given. Zelgadissan heading into the Igor room on the left side of your screen. Now just a couple torch puzzles on PKR's side, and we'll be up towards the end. At this point, it looks to be PKR's race to lose. It goes to show the difference in just the small difference in routing, and I think the real difference maker in this seed was the election to double dip Turtle Rock on Zelgadissan's side. PK, I remember the key is a little low on magic at this point, but there is a full magic decanter in this next room. And with that, PKR's magic is revealed. It is down. It's time for Troll Dorm 2, which gave her a little bit of trouble in the first race. It looks to be getting a nice setup for the Troll Dorm this time. And down it goes. With that, PKR leaving Moldorm's last possessions behind. They're heading up to their required geometry test of this seed. Helmasaur, get out of the way! I've got a sorcerer to slay.
And meanwhile, Zelga is in the Kano Samaria Wizrobe rooms, so heading up not that far behind. This could still be interesting.
There was a potential triple setup, but it was not to be had there on PKR side, and that's a single from the second cycle. This one's not so great. And we get a blue ball, so that's only one hit given to Aghanim that time. And there's the double. That's the end of Aghanim, and the King of all Bacon is loose on PKR's side. Meanwhile, Zelgadissan just a few rooms behind, but note, Zelgadissan is up silver arrows, which PKR did elect to go without.
Yep, PKR also potentially on sub 50, as Chad is pointing out. We have not had a sub 50 yet in this tournament. It would be really cool to see one here.
I mean, and what a time to bust out that first sub 50 to keep yourself alive in this tournament. Down one game in the quarterfinals, hoping to pull this off here as we get the nice little bit of community added text here on Ganon. All right, here we are into the first phase of the Ganon fight, and just that's trivial. Here we are in phase 2. All right, taking the hook shot out and the hook shot there. Has to be very, very careful here. The PKR is just a single hit from death if you take a Ganon hug. All right, there's the first slash of phase 1. Zelgadissan is heading up to their geometry test. There's a second slash of phase 2. A really, really cooperative Ganon from the seed. Alright, and did you find the arrows in Hyrule Castle? Well, she knew they were there, but elected not to. Gets that torch glitch, and that's huge. This is a silverless Ganon fight. You need this torch glitch. Well, Zelgadissan is facing off their geometry test here. Nice use of the fire rod shot on PKR's side to be able to keep on the cycle they're on. Really, really great silverless Ganon execution on PKR's side, putting on an absolute clinic here.
I believe that's 8 hits, and there was the 9th.
Meanwhile, Zelgadissan is dropping into their Ganon fight, and with that, that's the final strike. The explosions have begun, and the fanfare is playing just a 1x3 bridge result that separates PKR between now and a Game 3 at a time yet to be decided on a Speed Gaming channel near you. And with that, PKR pulling off our very first sub 50 of the race, the official SRL time of 49 minutes and 38 seconds. Just as you see on your screen, get your GGs in chat, folks. What an absolute clinic put on by PKR to force this game 3. I mean, what do you even say about that race?
Apparently you say, did you like that bow placement? Which, the bow was the trolliest item, so that's a pretty appropriate one.
Wow, I didn't even notice that at first. Wow, what I definitely have to agree that that Triforce text just about nailed that one on the head. And I believe that part of that bow placement is what really put in the difference in the scene, and not to discount zelgadissan's execution throughout this, but it was that bow placement that potentially led them to make that decision to double dip Turtle Rock, which I think was where a lot of the time was lost. The other part of the time given was to pick up the silver arrows, which did give zelgadissan to put in an absolute clinic. Speaking of zelgadissan, get your GGs in chats as they hold their sword during a fire rod dash. Oh, just an absolutely well-executed couple races by these runners. And with that, wow. That's an official SRL time of 51 minutes and 8 seconds. I've never seen that backwalk before, but GG's to both our runners.
Yeah, that was an interesting way to finish, wasn't it?
Getting on the style points, and we have now been joined by PKR in the interview room. What an absolute clinic, PKR. GG.
Oh, Zelda told me in the race room what happened since I haven't been watching the streams. I'm sure he'll be with us here in a moment. But yeah, these two races were essentially the tale of two derps. Well, here he comes. I see him.
All right, and we are also joined by zelgadissan. GG's to you. What a great couple scenes from both of you guys.
Yeah, thank you. GG's. This was fun. Neither seed was absolutely god awful, which is kind of a refresher. So I'm happy.
We have boots. We actually had boots.
Oh, absolutely. So zelgadissan, where do you think the gap really lied throughout the seed? Because it sounded like you were following the restream along.
Oh, the problem is that I went to Turtle Rock thinking that I could get inside it without magic. I was like, okay, well, there's the full pot inside Turtle Rock. There's the full pot in Super Bunny. I'll be fine. But without the mirror, I can't get to that and still have my Turtle Rock entry. So it was really just a bad routing decision where I totally forgot that magic is kind of an important resource. And that just kind of put me from behind from the very start.
And that completely eluded me, the fact that you didn't. So the reason you couldn't get your lack of magic is what pulled you out of there. I swear that was supposed to make sense, but it totally did not.
Yeah, it's Zelda. Our game 3 has to have no derps, okay? Because both of our races were decided by forgetting something.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a best versus best. That would be very nice to decide this. But I mean, this is like, I'm so ridiculous how this tournament for me has been like an exact mirror of last year's spring tournament. Like last round getting through as their 2-0, and now here 1-1 against you in the very next round. This is I feel like I'm just living permanent deja vu in tournament land.
Well, I mean, this time the winning order was inversed, so maybe that means he'll come out on top, right? Right? Free me.
We can hope. Wink, wink.
Nudge.
Well, come on. I hope to not see any throws for the future, but do you guys have an idea as to kind of a guess as to when a third game may be heading our way?
We were initially talking tomorrow. It's not official, but it will probably be tomorrow sometime around the same time.
Yeah, just a knockabout.
I definitely hope to be able to catch that on a network near you. How do you guys feel about your performance? We'll start with you, PKR. How do you feel about your performance in these two games today?
There was some executional mishaps here and there, like a really weird Skullwoods. Okay, speaking of Skullwoods, that one Gibdo in the torch room of Skullwoods moved right instead of down both seeds, and it threw me off terribly. But other than that, there were some problems. I felt paranoid against Cold Stare, so I used strats both times. I need to stop thinking several steps ahead and forgetting what I'm supposed to be doing at the moment. Because that is easily the biggest problem I have with these seeds, is I'm usually thinking, okay, what do I need to be doing like 5 minutes ahead of time? And then I just casually walk past something that I need at the moment.
Right, and zelgadissan, same question to you. How do you feel your just how you did in these 2 seeds?
Overall, I can't really complain. My execution was lacking in certain places, but I was able to pull off some decent stuff as well. My routing wasn't super awful, minus, the big magic derp in this seed. I feel relatively good about my routing choices in both, minus that. So I feel like this was overall about how I expected my performance to be, and I'm glad that it was good enough to take 1 game. And we'll just look forward to tomorrow, and we'll see if it's 2 or not.
I mean,
So
go ahead.
So I couldn't watch my Armos fight in the second seed. It was tragic.
Okay. I promise I'll skip it.
It's like just covered the screen. I'm ashamed. It was awful.
But not to be discounted, both of you guys going through this tournament, as this was both of you taking the very first, taking the game off the other, which had not been done yet in this tournament. So definitely to say how hotly contested this is.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that this was not a 2-0. I would not have been surprised by a 2-0 in either fashion, but I'm also not surprised that this is going to a game 3 either. So I feel like overall we're evenly matched, but I do feel like in general I would rate PinkKittyRose slightly higher than me in both execution and routing. So that's just my personal feeling. I don't know how she feels, but this is an interesting series, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to continuing.
Speaking of routing, important question for you, Zelga. Did you use the good bee for your money in the first seed?
I did not. I considered it, and then what I ended up doing was going to the library and bonking bombs to get into the chicken hut, and then buying from the 300.
Yeah, it works too, I suppose. Both ways are pretty silly, but it works.
Yeah, I don't know which was better, honestly. I considered the B, but I was like, I'm going to need money later anyway to get into pod, so I figured the 300 was a safer bet, just to grab that straight off.
I can't help but think that I want to say the first seed was the first time I've ever had 4 bottles in a spoiler lock seed.
Oh wow, no, I had 2. That was it, just 2.
I just kept crashing into them. It was like, here's a blue potion, here's a bee, here's a fairy in a bottle, here's a green potion.
I don't even remember where they were. Like, I know I got one in Eastern and one like really early, but like maybe the Kakariko well. I don't remember the other.
They were everywhere.
All the bottles, all the time. So there will be a game 3. Hopefully they'll get that up on the schedule. Keep it locked on speedgaming.org/schedule to see when they lock that in. They're thinking about tomorrow, but we'll see when that gets officialized. We're going to go ahead and get us, probably head us toward the end of this broadcast. GG's to the both of you. I'll give you both a final comment, starting with PKR.
Oh my god, I'm a derp. Forgot to activate my flute too. Oh, brain, please. I know you've been tired lately, but come on, we gotta do our best. Gotta do our best. Gotta do something proud.
For me, it's just GG's. This is fun. I love this race format. I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and I'm really hoping that we both put on 100%. So this should be fun.
I'm personally rooting to see 49s on both sides of the screen. That would be the most fun.
If you beat me tomorrow, you better win. You better win. Take it all. No breaks.
I'll do my best, but we'll see about tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, and I want to thank both of you guys for putting on this excellent show for us tonight. If you're still out there, folks, if you haven't given these two runners a follow, absolutely do so. I'd like to give a shout out as well to my co-commentator Mercer, as well as our tracker Semi Mimas. What an absolute treat it has been to share this with you. Any other comments, Mercer, before we send us off into that good night?
Yeah, I always say I'm rooting for either sub 50 or more than an hour and a half. And for the first time this tournament during brackets, I got my wish.
It's a really nice face for Ganon.
That was very, and I'm going to say very kind phase 3, only one extraneous teleport.
He could have ruined it. He could have, but Ganon was a bro. Bro pig.
Bro pig indeed. All right, and go ahead and keep it locked on speedgaming.org/schedule to see all the fun stuff we have here on the Speed Gaming Network of channels. If you head on over to Speed Gaming 3 right now, there is the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer Weekly Race. On the main channel right now is Magic Gathering The Arena. If you head over to Speed Gaming 5 right now, we're halfway through a Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer race, as well as on Speed Gaming 6, I believe that is. Look, we've got the 6th channel awake today, an Overworld Glitches race between Hexaw and Gland. Should be a lot of fun later on tonight, starting at 8:30. Let's see, make that 9:30 Eastern. We'll have some Bloodborne on Speed Gaming 2. On the just about to start on Speed Gaming 4 is more Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer. And on Speed Gaming 5 at what will be 10:30 Eastern is a Link to the Past Randomizer Overworld Glitches tournament, and that's Active Boker versus Chex Human. Should be a lot of fun to see. Taking a look at tomorrow's schedule, there is some more Bloodborne, there's some daily races, there's a Link to the Past Randomizer League, and they're in their playoffs. That's Megawatt versus Dante. That looks to be at 8 p.m. Eastern on a channel yet to be decided. There's a few daily races. We've got Kirby, Nightmare, and Dreamland. I still remember the jingle for that in my head, I swear. More Overworld Glitches tournament. The Super Metroid Prodigy tournament is continuing on, as well as Final Fantasy Randomizer 1. With that, just go ahead and keep this locked in. Follow these runners. Follow my co-commentator, my tracker. Give a follow to the Speed Gaming Network channels at Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 through 6. As well as keep it locked into the stuff for the spoiler tournament. The semifinals are starting soon. These two winners will have to face off against Weighty Words, whoever comes out victorious in Game 3. And with that, I am Bungie to the Tree. These guys are amazing. Good night and good rando.
I'm still impressed Weighty's gone as far as he has. Go Weighty!